When winter falls over Siberia, the world grows silent. Snow blankets the endless land, rivers lie motionless beneath the ice, and the taiga becomes a white ocean where time seems to disappear. In this extreme landscape, beauty is as unforgiving as it is fascinating. The cold grants no mercy, but it does not extinguish life either. It transforms it, hardens it, and forces it to adapt. Among frozen forests and silent steppes, wolves move with ancient discipline. Bears awaken amid the snow, and the Siberian tiger advances with the calm of an ancient spirit. Welcome to wild Siberia, the land of the fiercest predators. Before we begin, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell. And tell us where you're watching from. Now, let's begin. To the north, the permafrost marks its border, a wall of ice, while to the south, the Asian steppe stretches to the horizon like a domain of infinite dreams. Siberia is so vast that it occupies almost 10% of the planet's land surface, an architectural marvel of the Creator. The Siberian ecosystem is perhaps one of the most majestic and pristine on Earth. In Siberia, everything is bigger, of epic scale. To the west, crossing the Urals, vast plains of more than 2,000 kilometers appear, where swamps and marshes seem endless, like a sea of land. Afterwards, the Siberian taiga emerges with dense forests the size of a continent, where trees whisper ancestral stories. To the east, in the Russian Far East, imposing mountain ranges with dozens of active volcanoes guard the rear of this majestic kingdom, like silent protectors of the land. In spring, even infinite Siberia becomes small before the impressive explosion of wildlife. With more than 100 animal species, here birds fill the sky with dances of light. The infinite forests feed millions of herbivores, and predators enter a frenzy over the abundance of prey. Wildlife has never shown such a magnificent spectacle. But there is a small problem. It is only October, and the harsh Russian winter has just begun. For the next 8 months, Siberia shows its toughest and most relentless side, with temperatures reaching minus 68 degrees Celsius. Here, snow falls incessantly, blurring all boundaries between the sky and the earth. The rivers transform into endless mirrors of ice, and the world is covered with a thick white blanket. Even the sun cannot bear so much harshness and abandons Siberia to its fate. However, what seems like a white hell, Mother Nature uses as a canvas to write the most wonderful stories of wildlife. A breath of the earth in all conditions. Amidst the fiercest blizzards, where the wind reaches 100 kilometers per hour and the cold freezes everything, the majestic caribou stands firm, a blizzard warrior with an indomitable will. With its thick fur covering the entire body, the caribou has been endowed with a natural coat to withstand the most rigorous winter of wildlife. The impressive size of the caribou, weighing over 180 kilograms and measuring 2 meters in height, is ideal for storing fat and retaining heat in this unwelcoming Siberian winter, a secret of warmth. Of course, surviving the Siberian winter requires more than a warm coat and good fat reserves. Even before the harsh winter appears, the caribou has already begun to prepare, seeking warmer places to the south. With the immensity of Siberia at its disposal, staying in the icy Arctic could be a death sentence. Commonly, these migrations span hundreds of kilometers in groups of up to thousands of individuals. Upon reaching their wintering grounds, the caribou will live in herds to stay warm and protect themselves from predators. An invisible connection of unity. In addition to sheltering from the cold during the icy season, the caribou's coat turns white to cleverly camouflage itself in the now pale northern forests. The dense vegetation of the Siberian forests helps protect against strong winds and the tons of falling snow. Depressions in the terrain also offer good shelters that help avoid becoming windbreaks against the extreme cold. But the caribou cannot simply shelter throughout the winter. With its stomach rumbling, the herds are forced to go out in search of food. The options are not easy: starve or expose themselves to the freezing cold. With no other option, the caribou moves through the white landscape, searching for grass, abundant moss, and tasty lichens. Thanks to its large hooves, the caribou can move smoothly over layers of snow up to 1.5 meters deep, a feat of dexterity. A single misstep could mean getting trapped in icy Siberia. Their hooves are also a very useful tool in the white days of Siberia. With them, the caribou is capable of digging deep into the thick snow in search of delicious snacks. When you need to eat up to 5 kilograms of food a day, every small bite counts. However, since climatic conditions do not allow for wasted effort in random excavations, the caribou relies on its extraordinary sense of smell to locate possible food sources. Where other herbivores only see white snow, the caribou smells nutritious fungi, a delicacy in this desolate ecosystem, a miracle of instinct. In addition to helping find food, the caribou's trained sense of smell also helps it avoid being eaten. Just as the caribou desperately seeks food, hundreds of predators try to stalk an unsuspecting caribou to make it part of their diet. Hunting a colossal caribou weighing almost 200 kilograms of meat can mean having food for the entire winter and ensuring they see the sunrise in spring. To avoid ending its life, satisfying the hunger of the great Siberian predators, the caribou never lowers its guard. Thanks to its sharp sight and hearing, it can detect predators from a distance, allowing the herd to quickly retreat with honor. Capable of running up to 80 kilometers per hour, its long legs take it away from danger in seconds. On the other hand, in a wild environment like Siberia, it is not always possible to avoid trouble, and sometimes it is necessary to bravely face the bullies of the area. The caribou uses its sharp antlers, up to 1.5 meters long, to butt predators. One precise blow is enough, and peace will return to the herd. However, winter is long and harsh, and wildlife in Siberia is relentless. So it is inevitable that some members of the herd will not endure the adversity and fall victim to the Siberian winter. Many caribou, after a small mistake, become trapped in the deep snow that turns into quicksand, and only spring will free them, when scavengers take advantage of the feast that winter has left them. For now, the herd can only continue its journey with the hope that better days will come, when the icy steppe once again becomes green fields and the forest a cozy home, a domain of dreams and regeneration. Not far from where the caribou herds live in the forest, royalty itself observes the entire animal spectacle taking place on the snow. The golden eagle, in a display of bravery and survival instinct, does not abandon the challenging Siberian ecosystem and remains, despite the harsh living conditions, a lord of the icy sky with an indomitable will. With a wingspan of up to 2 meters and weighing over 4 kilograms, the golden eagle is by no means one of the small birds that flutter south when the Russian winter strikes the northern forests. The golden eagle's dense plumage is one of the many adaptations this raptor possesses to survive the low temperatures of Siberia. Its abundant plumage, in addition to providing convenient insulation, is waterproof to protect it from daily snowfalls. No matter how much it snows, the golden eagle's stomach cannot stop working in winter, so staying in the comfort of its shelter is not an option. With its sharp eyesight, the golden eagle is capable of spotting potential prey from a distance of up to 3 kilometers. This, in a place where the sun has disappeared forever, is an unmatched advantage. However, despite being a fierce raptor, winter also presents challenges for the golden eagle. During these months, prey is not particularly abundant, so the eagle must take advantage of every opportunity to get something to eat. Adapting to the new reality of the environment, the golden eagle seeks smaller prey, which provides it with a good amount of nutrients without requiring much effort. With the golden eagle flying in the sky, it is better for rabbits, hares, and small rodents to hide, because in a matter of seconds, they can go from walking on the cold plain to being trapped in the long talons of the golden eagle, tens of meters from the ground, an aerial dance of the predator. After flying kilometers in search of a warm meal amidst the inhospitable landscapes, the golden eagle spots a potential prey. Once it has it in its sights, the eagle swoops down at more than 200 kilometers per hour. Commonly, the helpless prey can do nothing. The golden eagle grabs it with its sharp talons and kills it with a blow to the back of the neck. Although it is capable of flying hundreds of kilometers a day in spring and summer, in winter, the golden eagle must limit its flying time, as the weather conditions are not at all favorable. By not being able to cover great distances in search of food, the bird often has to endure hunger. In its now not-so-long flights, the golden eagle does not only try to spot potential victims for its fierce talons. Although it is not an excellent scavenger, when winter is harsh and prey is scarce, even royalty has to adapt to eat what is available. So the remains of large terrestrial predators are not a bad meal for the golden eagle. Similarly, victims of the extreme climate are a gift from heaven. This is Siberia in winter. While some species die, others enjoy what is left of them. A cruel flow of biological time. Despite living in one of the wildest places in the world, the golden eagle's great flying ability, as well as its sharp talons and hard beak, place it at the top of the Siberian food chain. Although when spring arrives, it will have to defend its nest from the presence of intruders, that is another story. And for now, the eagle only concentrates on surviving the harsh Russian winter. About 2,000 kilometers north of the Arctic hare's burrow, where the Russian winter has frozen the already cold Arctic Ocean, a majestic mammal weighing more than 2 tons emerges from the depths, the walrus. While other species would flee from the semi-frozen waters that guard the north, for the walrus, these hundreds of kilometers of drifting ice are like a personal paradise, a domain of dreams and freedom. The walrus's ability to adapt to low temperatures is perhaps one of the most extreme in the entire animal kingdom. It is no coincidence that, with the immensity of Siberia at its disposal, the walrus decides to spend the winter days in one of the coldest places in the north. To maintain body temperature, Mother Nature has endowed the walrus with a blubber layer up to 15 centimeters thick. In the hardest days of the Siberian winter, the walrus reaches a fat ratio of 1/3 of its body weight, allowing it to stay warm regardless of external conditions. A secret of miraculous warmth. While other wild inhabitants of Siberia struggle to find food in the icy white ecosystem, the walrus knows perfectly where to go for its daily ration. The Arctic seabed, even on winter days, contains a great abundance of mollusks, crustaceans and invertebrates, which helps keep the colossal walruses healthy and well fed. But, of course, this food will not come on a silver platter to the comfort of its shelter on the ice. Every day, the walrus dives up to 90 meters into the dark waters, rooting around the seabed in search of delicacies. To locate these tasty clusters of seafood in the depths, the walrus uses its sensitive whiskers as detectors in these dives. The walrus uses the very useful tool it carries on its face in the form of long white tusks up to 1 meter long to dig into the seabed and unearth its delicious treasures. When it finds food, the walrus commonly crushes it all and turns it into a kind of nutritious paste that it ingests instantly. Seals trapped between drifting ice floes are easy prey for larger walruses, who, upon spotting the prey, pounce on it, hold it with their front flippers, and deliver the final blow with their long tusks. It is a not insignificant meal for these giants of the north. But rooting up the seabed and skewering panicked seals is not the only thing the walrus does with its useful tusks. On the icy terrain, these tusks work very well as grappling hooks to get out of the water, as well as to climb steep terrain. Despite its colossal size in the Siberian ecosystem, no one is safe from being swallowed, and the wild orcas are the executioners of the walruses. To protect themselves from them, it will not be enough to climb onto small ice floes. As with their gigantic physique, the orcas can easily flip them. To escape the voracity of the orcas, the walrus must move to higher land areas, where the ice layer is several meters thick and prevents these bloodthirsty dolphins from accessing the terrified walruses. The walrus's adaptability to freezing temperatures is such that while other Siberian species only think about survival, the walrus can be said to feel love in the cold Arctic air. In the middle of the Siberian winter, walruses begin their mating season, in which the male will use its versatile tusks for a new purpose. After mating, the female will have a not at all short pregnancy, lasting up to 16 months, and will give birth to a calf of a weight, to put it mildly, small, of 75 kilograms. But there is still a lot of work to be done before that, and for now, the walrus continues its frozen life in the middle of the Siberian winter, an incessant flow of biological time. Although the walrus boasts of its large tusks as an effective weapon, the most fearsome bite in all of Siberia is found thousands of kilometers to the south, in the middle of the dense forests of the Russian taiga. Indomitable, walking between the trees and lurking from the shadows, the Siberian taiga is the perfect model of a predator in this icy landscape, a mysterious lord and powerful soul of the night. Weighing up to 200 kilograms and over 2 meters long, the Amur taiga is living proof that in Siberia, everything is bigger and wilder. It is nothing less than the largest feline in the world. In winter, the Siberian climate itself has endowed the Amur taiga with its colossal size, forcing it to adapt. During these freezing months, the Siberian taiga's fur can reach up to 11 centimeters long in some parts of the body, enough to withstand the sub-zero conditions. In addition to acting as a warm winter coat, its dense fur has paler tones with less marked stripes than the large felines in other parts of the world, which helps it camouflage itself in the pale Siberian landscape. Thanks to this, despite its colossal size, the Siberian taiga can move very stealthily through the forest without being detected, an art of stealth. The Siberian taiga's life is quite solitary during the long Russian winter. Commonly, it travels long distances, patrolling its territory, marking its borders with urine, feces, and scratches on trees. Frequently, when two males meet, confrontations are inevitable, even in the middle of this icy landscape. With the cold problem controlled and the domain free of strangers, the Siberian taiga must address another of the great challenges of living in Siberia during these sub-zero months. With a voracious appetite that requires up to 30 kilograms of meat a day, the Amur taiga must be precise when hunting. Its position at the top of the Siberian food chain is a great advantage, since while other predators see their culinary options reduced, the Siberian taiga can gorge itself on almost anything that comes its way. Commonly, given its great need for food, large prey are the main priority when the Siberian taiga goes hunting. Hares, pikas, deer, elk, caribou, and wild boars must be careful, because in a matter of seconds they can be charged by a large feline of more than 200 kilograms. Living in the dense forests of the taiga, for the Siberian taiga, the key to feeding is stealth, especially in the harsh winter. The taiga avoids large pursuits and prefers to ambush its prey, coming out of nowhere to jump directly onto the prey's neck and subdue it with its powerful bite. The Bengal taiga must first locate its prey. For this, it relies on its superior sense of smell, as well as its extraordinary sight. When it detects a herd of caribou nearby, the taiga will approach them with the greatest stealth. The taiga's strategy is usually to wait patiently, hidden among the vegetation, and leap up to 5 meters through the air directly onto its unsuspecting victim. The Siberian taiga usually delivers the final blow with a powerful bite to the neck. If it fails its goal in the first attack, the Siberian taiga does not hesitate to start a swift pursuit that almost certainly will end with the ingestion of a tasty piece of meat. With its colossal and powerful paws, the Siberian taiga moves at speeds of up to 80 kilometers per hour. even over the unstable snow that covers the entire landscape. But not only herbivores must be careful when this gigantic feline appears. The Siberian taiga's super predator status means that even predators accustomed to terrorizing other species find themselves in the position of prey. From the colossal black bear through the wild lynx to the fearsome wolf packs, all can end up on the menu of the undisputed king of the Siberian forests. Although thanks to its majestic size, the Siberian taiga can withstand the harsh winter without problems. Its life is about to get better. After months of incessant snowfalls, frozen rivers, and the entire forest desolate, spring peeks over the horizon and wildlife will burst forth in every corner of vast Siberia. For the Amur taiga, this means abundant prey and the start of the mating season, in which the male will be delighted to show off his charms to win over a female ready to reproduce. With the Siberian spring, we find ourselves on the threshold of what is perhaps one of the greatest wildlife spectacles on the entire planet. After months of darkness and under the dominance of low temperatures, Siberia awakens from its lethargy like a giant stretching its limbs after a long sleep. Little by little, everything returns to what in other parts of the world could be called normal. But here, with 9 months of harsh winter, it is an exception. With the slow but constant increase in temperatures, the thick snow melts, revealing an exuberant green blanket that sprouts strongly. The rivers previously constrained by ice now sing a melody of freedom, while the first rays of the sun tinge the forests on the horizon with gold. Thousands of people who had to flee the cold begin to return. Migratory birds fill the sky, filling the air with their songs, announcing the arrival of a new reality in wild Siberia. This is perhaps the greatest manifestation of wildlife ever seen in this region, where the wild world, defying all predictions, was barely surviving. Now it is a paradise on earth, where the miracle of life is manifested in every corner. Of course, only those species that remained to endure the cruel winter and experienced its harshness firsthand can fully appreciate this other side of Siberia. Among those survivors, at the edge of the boreal forests and the vast steppes, is the black grouse. With its lyre-shaped tail, from which it takes its name, and a beautiful black plumage with mystical blue iridescence, the black grouse is proof that Siberian wildlife also comes in many forms, each with its own charm, a dancer of the steppe. When spring arrives, the black grouse has already developed a striking bright red crest over its eyes, which it uses for various purposes in its daily life. Although at first glance the black grouse may seem too fragile to withstand the long Russian winter, being a bird no more than 60 centimeters and 2 kilograms in weight, it keeps several cards up its sleeve, or rather under its feathers, to withstand the harsh living conditions of the Siberian winter and witness the arrival of the long-awaited spring. After spending months perched in large flocks in the treetops, feeding only on conifer needles, the black grouse are eager to enjoy the new and exuberant spring in their Siberian corner. With the melting of the snow, the endless steppes reveal hundreds of kilometers of lush vegetation available for foraging. It is a feast that totally contrasts with the previous harshness imposed by winter. With Siberia showing its most fertile side, the black grouse's diet diversifies with berries, sprouts, stems and shrubs. Unlike migratory birds that return after journeys of thousands of kilometers, the black grouse is quite sedentary. Commonly, they live in areas of 10 to 20 square kilometers, and with the abundance of food offered by their small portion of Siberia, they have no intention of seeking new horizons. During the day, the black grouse will spend long hours rooting through the vegetation, ingesting all kinds of delicacies left behind by the snow. As night falls over the steppe, the black grouse commonly flies to nearby trees to take shelter from possible predators. That is the great advantage of living right on the border between the dense boreal forests and the now prolific steppe. Just as the black grouse is fascinated by the great changes that the Siberian spring has brought, predators are also delighted by the abundant prey supply that spring has brought them. And this, of course, can include a tasty black grouse of almost 2 kilograms of meat. Species like the golden eagle, the fox, or the wild boar will be delighted to add the black grouse to their menu. So these birds must be attentive to any movement that seems suspicious. Although it is a relatively small bird, the black grouse will not be an easy prey to take down. If any predator wants to have this black grouse on its table, it will have to work hard to catch it. When a threat dangerously approaches the black grouse, it, true to its nature as a bird, flaps its wings and flies a short distance at low altitude to escape danger. Except for the many predators that dream of a bite of black grouse, spring is one of the most awaited seasons for these birds. With the flowering of vegetation across the vast territory, for the black grouse, love is in the air, and there is no better way to celebrate it than by looking for a fertile female to expand the family. The black grouse mating ritual is truly fascinating. It all begins at dawn, when the males arrive at the mating areas known as leks. In these places, up to 200 individuals can gather to compete for females willing to mate. The males display their vitality by spreading their lyre-shaped tails and singing melodious songs in the form of prolonged coos and murmurs, a symphony of love. When the male's tricks are successful and the pair of black grouse shows their love, the female will fly away from the mating area to seek a safe place to lay her eggs. Commonly, the nest is a hollow dug in a place with tall vegetation or at the foot of a tree. Since the male has already left, disclaiming fatherhood, the female must build the nest alone, equipping it with branches, grass and leaves, and then laying 6 to 11 eggs. For about 25 days, the mother will incubate the eggs and protect them from predators like raptors eager to enjoy a protein-rich delicacy. Once the chicks hatch, the single mother's work is not yet finished, as she will have to care for them while they learn to fend for themselves. At 14 days old, the chicks can already take short flights and accompany the female on her walks, foraging in the vegetation. One of the first lessons they must learn is to fully enjoy spring, because Siberia is not always so generous to them. Leaving the Siberian steppe, where the black grouse has established its spring home, and venturing into the forest, a howl resonates in the distance. The wolf pack is in a state of almost euphoria due to the abundant prey supply that spring has brought them, a symphony of hunger. The hardships of winter are just a distant memory, and the wolves begin to shed their thick winter coats for a cooler outfit, appropriate for the milder weather. At dawn and dusk, the packs sow terror among the forest inhabitants, advancing coordinately with uncontrolled hunger. With packs of up to 15 individuals and an adult wolf eating about 4 kilograms of meat a day, wolves are not particularly interested in small prey and concentrate their efforts on hunting something that is truly worthwhile and enough for everyone. In the sights of these wild canids are species like deer, elk, wild boars and musk oxen, especially with the abundance that spring has brought. Small prey like hares, pikas, and why not, black grouse are less common. Wolves are master strategists when it comes to elaborating a strategy to bring food home. To find prey in the immensity of the Siberian forests, wolves use their sophisticated sense of smell. When the canids perceive an odor or detect the slightest sign that the prey is near, the pack will follow its trail. Thanks to their extraordinary night vision in nocturnal hunts, the pack has no problem locating the prey. When hunting, wolves have different strategies, which they will use depending on the size of the prey, the terrain conditions, and the location of the pack. When the vegetation allows it, the pack employs the strategy of surrounding the prey from multiple fronts and launching a simultaneous attack. Here, the surprise factor is key, so every canid must be very stealthy. One false step and dinner can flee terrified. If, for mammals like the caribou, defending against a large grey wolf is already a challenge, doing so against an entire pack is almost impossible. Another of the preferred strategies of wolf packs is to chase the prey until it is exhausted and succumbs to their bites. For this, the wolves take turns stalking the prey for kilometers, with no obstacle able to stop the canid. After a very long pursuit, the end is almost always the same. The prey falls from exhaustion and is quickly caught by a wolf, which delivers the first blow. After barely a few minutes, the entire pack joins the feast, although they are a lethal and coordinated force. When hunting, wolves will never refuse an easy meal. When there are sick or injured individuals among the ungulate herds, the wolves will show no mercy and will head directly for them to give them a little push toward a better life, and benefit from the fresh meat along the way. Speaking of fresh meat, thanks to the melting of the snow due to the arrival of spring, the victims trapped under the thick layers of snow become nutritious scavenging remains for the packs. Although they froze months earlier, the low Siberian temperatures have preserved the carcasses so well that they retain all the freshness of a freshly hunted prey. The successful survival of the pack in a place as harsh as Siberia is due, among other factors, to its complex hierarchy, where each member of the pack knows its place and the tasks to be fulfilled. Here, the alpha male is the one in charge, making decisions when hunting and where the pack will settle. After the alpha male is the beta male, who will be the one to succeed him when he decides to retire or pass away. And finally are the low and middle-ranking individuals, commonly young adult wolves and wolves recently incorporated into the pack. Since the alpha male occupies a position of power with quite appealing privileges, his position is often coveted by other males for a coup d'état. When a male challenges the alpha, he will demonstrate his dominance through body posture, growls, and, if necessary, physical confrontations. Some young males, however, are born into royalty, so in an act of nepotism, they inherit the leadership position from their father. Although it is a great privilege, At the same time, it comes with an important responsibility, as the leader must ensure the welfare of the pack. For now, with the arrival of summer in Siberia, the pack still lives in a golden illusion with abundant prey supply and a friendly climate. The true challenge to the leader's continuity will come when the Siberian winter once again knocks on the door with all its ferocity. While wolves choose to live in dense and well-organized packs in the depths of the Siberian forests, another predator prefers to lead a solitary life, wandering the high slopes of southern Siberia. There, amidst an arid rocky landscape where animal life seems almost impossible, about 3,000 meters above sea level, is the fearsome snow leopard. The ghost of the mountain, as it is also known, is a majestic feline weighing up to 55 kilograms and 1.5 meters in length. With its dense coat of pale grey, the snow leopard camouflages perfectly in its rocky environment among the Siberian slopes. It is highly probable that the immensity of Siberia is one of the few places in the world that can house the majesty of this wild feline, as traditionally a single male dominates a territory of up to 1,000 square kilometers. With its large paws, small ears, and dense fur, the name snow leopard is no accident. This large feline is perfectly adapted to the harsh conditions of the Siberian winter. Now, the problem is that the freezing days of Siberia have temporarily ceased, and summer has arrived in all parts of this earthly paradise, or almost. To maintain its cold and solitary lifestyle, the snow leopard lives in very high areas where low temperatures are not a survival challenge, but a constant. Although the snow leopard prefers its own company, one of the challenges of its isolated habitat is the scarcity of prey. Species like deer, caribou, or elk do not usually wander the desolate slopes, thousands of meters above sea level, where grass is almost non-existent. And to top it all off, a fierce predator lives. To solve this problem, the snow leopard focuses its diet on those species that dare to disturb the tranquility of its area at such altitudes, such as the Siberian mountain goat, ibex, musk deer, and marmots. Given the isolated condition of its habitat, far from the carefree herds of herbivores, the snow leopard must be precise when spotting a potential prey. Failing a hunt can mean wasting energy and ending up with an empty stomach. Thanks to its grey coat, the snow leopard can camouflage perfectly in its rocky environment throughout the year, even when the snowfall is not so dense. This is an unmatched advantage, since in the middle of the Siberian slopes, the snow leopard's best tool for feeding is its stealth. Once it has set its eyes on a potential prey, the snow leopard approaches very slowly, trying not to draw attention. The key is stealth and patience. Commonly, an elevated position is the perfect place to stalk its future dinner. After observing the prey's movements for a while, the ghost of the mountain finds the opportune moment to surprise it, leaping up to 15 meters through the air directly onto its unsuspecting victim. The snow leopard usually delivers the final blow with a powerful bite to the neck. Although ambushing its prey by leaping onto them is its favorite tactic for its daily feeding, the snow leopard does not hesitate to initiate swift pursuits in the middle of the steep terrain. With its powerful paws, in addition to making impressive leaps, the snow leopard reaches speeds of up to 88 kilometers per hour. So no matter how fast the prey runs, sooner or later the leopard will catch it. Like the grey wolves, sometimes the Siberian ecosystem is extremely generous to the royalty of the mountain and offers them a tasty scavenging feast. With the low temperatures at these altitudes, a carcass is unlikely to decompose, so victims of the slippery cliffs are more than acceptable feasts. With a full stomach, the snow leopard, like every king, has its temper and will not tolerate strangers invading its domain, at least not without a fight. The snow leopard is extremely territorial, and when it encounters a congener, it is commonly not at all friendly. Frequently, when a male detects another crossing the borders of its territory, the intruder will be warned with a series of vocalizations and postures, although a roar would perhaps be a more intimidating signal. When it comes to exhibiting its vocal talents, the snow leopard is not the strongest candidate. Since having very short vocal cords, it is unable to roar. However, most of the time, the warnings are heeded and the invader turns back. With all the immensity of Siberia at its disposal, why start a duel between giants, where one of the two will probably die? However, sometimes warnings fall on deaf ears, especially when a fertile female is at stake, or a large feline seeks to expand its territory without disguise. When this happens, only the colossal Siberian mountains are witnesses to a wild life or death battle. Contrasting with the austere plumage of the black grouse in eastern southern Siberia, where the Urals are thousands of kilometers away, in the tranquil summer waters, the colorful mandarin duck enjoys a refreshing bath. While majestic Siberia is home to wild giants like the walrus or the armor taiga, it is also the comfortable habitat of the small mandarin duck, one of the smallest water birds in the world. Weighing only 450 grams and with a wingspan of no more than 75 centimeters, the mandarin duck proves that Siberian wildlife also comes in many small forms, which of course are still very impressive, a colorful soul of the river waters. The mandarin duck is a species that represents the beauty of Siberian fauna. Even in the middle of the vibrant summer ecosystem, this small bird does not go unnoticed. With its vibrant colours, its small red beak, and the large white crescent above its eyes, the mandarin duck looks like a species from the tropical zones of the planet, where Mother Nature has no limits in her imagination. The mandarin duck's chest combines purple and white tones with red flanks and orange feathers, giving it a unique appearance even in a place as full of life as Siberia. Although no less beautiful, the female of this species is not so lucky in terms of the coloration of her plumage, sporting grey and lilac tones all over her body. The sexual dimorphism is such that they look like completely different species. Although very easy to see, having such striking plumage in the middle of the wild Siberian ecosystem is sometimes not a good idea. There is always one or two predators that want to make the mandarin duck part of their diet, so it must not let its guard down during its long journeys through the water. Among the species that do not care about beauty but about the taste of the mandarin duck are the owl, the coyote, and the marten. Of course, when you weigh less than half a kilogram and live in a place as wild as Siberia, with a long list of fierce predators looking for you, the idea of fighting is not the most advisable. The mandarin duck, knowing that Mother Nature has been generous with its appearance but not with its combat skills, as soon as it feels threatened, will opt for the easy path of fleeing at full speed. Either by swimming down the river or by exhibiting its flying skills. With endless boreal forests surrounding its habitat, the mandarin duck considers them a very safe refuge, far from danger. With the not small problem of escaping the radar of wild predators under control, the mandarin duck now forages without worries. One of the keys to this small bird's survival in an ecosystem as unforgiving as Siberia lies in its ability to adapt its diet. In autumn and winter, the mandarin duck feeds on the limited options that the cold season offers, such as acorns or cereals. When spring and summer arrive, where heat is the protagonist, the mandarin duck skips its previous austere diet and opts for worms, insects, fish, frogs, mollusks, and basically everything that is within reach of its red beak. However, with such a striking appearance, it is better to go out and forage early in the morning and return to the relative safety of the trees and dense vegetation as soon as possible. A moment when the male does not want to hide at all is during the breeding season, when the female is ready to bring new young into the world. As good romantics, they swear eternal love to the female, thanks to which they achieve what they were looking for. After mating, with between 9 and 12 young on the way, the female does something quite peculiar and practices brood parasitism. That is, she leaves some of her eggs hidden in the nests of other females for them to raise, thus reducing the costs of raising. Although very little accepted, this technique clearly yields results. Every egg in another nest means one less mouth to feed for the female. After fulfilling the obligatory task of raising some of her little ones, the female will build her own nest in a tree near the water. Although during this time some male ducks continue their role as a nourishing father, protecting the female and the nest, the female will incubate the eggs alone, being solely responsible. Although the male had sworn to her that he would always be with her, with so many young on the way, the male cannot handle the pressure and leaves just before the little ones are born. So, the single mother will take care of raising her numerous family, and since time runs fast, it is better for the little ones to learn quickly as the leaves begin to fall from the trees, announcing the arrival of autumn, and with it, everything begins to cool down again. With the arrival of autumn in Siberia, the tension rises in the air. The slight drop in temperatures brings with it unpleasant memories of the past winter. While most species try to enjoy the last days of humanitarian temperatures in vast Siberia, some have already begun to prepare for winter. Such is the case of the very planning Siberian chipmunk, a soul of frugality. As soon as it perceives the slight drop in temperatures with the arrival of autumn, the chipmunk does not waste time and gets down to business, or rather paws. Being a small rodent, no more than 150 grams, the chipmunk knows perfectly that the key to survival is having completed its task before winter freezes everything. The first thing to ensure it does not spend the winter outdoors, which of course would mean a frozen death for this small species, is to build a cozy house that protects it from the extreme cold. Although there is an abundance of trees in the endless boreal forests, the chipmunk prefers to keep its paws on the ground, or rather underground. Thanks to its powerful claws, the chipmunk has no problem digging and building its not-so-modest winter retreat. For the chipmunk, it is not enough to have a cozy house to take shelter in during winter. Therefore, they build true complexes, up to 3 meters long and 2 meters deep, with storage rooms, waste chambers, and even a comfortable nest. Of course, when you have such a well-equipped house for winter, you can be the envy of the neighborhood. So the chipmunk must be careful not to allow any intruder to get too close to spy on its almost finished construction. For this, the chipmunk marks its territory with urine and glands on its cheeks. Although chipmunks can live in colonies, each of them commonly has its own territory, which means that each one must build, or rather dig, its own winter retreat. Leaving aside its small size, the chipmunk seems to know perfectly that it lives in Siberia, where everything is bigger. Therefore, each individual can claim a vast territory of up to 3,000 square meters as its own. With a more than decent house prepared for winter, one of the chipmunk's greatest concerns is keeping a small body well nourished. After the few months of spring and summer, the chipmunk knows perfectly that when winter arrives, all the abundant food supply will disappear, and it is not willing to go hungry. To solve this problem in autumn, the chipmunk sets out to increase its body fat percentage to the maximum, setting aside any hope of a slender figure. However, that will not be enough to withstand the next 8 months of winter. Therefore, the chipmunk will work to create its personal warehouse of seeds and nuts, which it will eat when the entire forest is tinged with white again. Every small piece, no matter how tiny, is transported directly to the burrow, thanks to which the pantry will increase little by little. With a cozy burrow and a food warehouse large enough, the chipmunk can relax a little during the last days of autumn, and even, why not, look for a partner to snuggle up with during those long winter days. Although the mating season begins after the long winter, it is better to spend all this time with company than alone. Locked in the comfort of its burrow for the next few months, the chipmunk will lead a quite comfortable life thanks to all its diligent preparations. Of course, all this will be so as long as the calculations do not fail and the food is enough for the long winter. When the chipmunk sees the sunlight for the last time in a long time, the greatest fear of countless wild species comes true. Mother Nature has decided to end the truce, and the Siberian winter once again plunges what was just a few weeks earlier a vibrant ecosystem into an endless lethargy. While many species complain about the early return of the Siberian winter, in the north, where the waters slowly freeze again, a white giant 3 meters tall and 700 kilograms in weight sees its endless icy kingdom come to life. For the polar bear, the return of winter is like a miracle. The north coast of Siberia freezes once more, creating thousands of kilometers of ice where the wild bear will move in search of food. After a summer full of deprivation for the polar bear after the thaw, winter will bring many surprises. As soon as a thin layer of ice forms on the freezing waters of the Russian Arctic, the polar bear does not think twice and begins its long journey north. While winter strikes its habitat with temperatures of up to -60 degrees Celsius, the polar bear walks as if nothing thanks to its dense white fur. Beneath this abundant layer of hair, the polar bear possesses a large amount of fat that assures it a perfect coat for the cold and long months ahead. While most animal species consider the white Siberian winter as a season of scarcity. The polar bear knows perfectly that with the beginning of low temperatures, its particular feast is about to begin. After venturing several kilometers into the frozen Arctic, Without wasting time, the polar bear commonly goes straight into hunting mode. The target is the unfortunate ringed seals that have fallen into the sights of the fiercest predator of the Siberian Arctic. Multiple factors make seal hunting a difficult task, such as the seal's ability to dive quickly and the harsh weather conditions. Despite this, the polar bear has some tricks up its sleeve and will not hesitate to use them to capture prey as large as a seal. The polar bear commonly stations itself near the breathing holes that seals leave in the ice after diving in search of food. The strategy, to be honest, has nothing special about it. When the unsuspecting seal pokes its head out to breathe, it will be met by an aggressive and very hungry bear, 3 meters tall. Another of the places where the polar bear used to station itself to hunt seals is at the edge of the ice floes, where it could spot the prey swimming and wait for it to come out of the water to surprise it. If it was not lucky hunting from the relative comfort of the ice, the polar bear had no impediment in launching itself into the icy waters to bring the food home itself. Thanks to its colossal paws, in addition to being able to walk on ice and snow, the polar bear is an extraordinary swimmer. A bear can even swim distances of up to 90 kilometers in search of food. But not only seals must be careful when the polar bear goes hunting. With a voracious appetite capable of gorging up to 40 kilograms of meat a day, the polar bear is the terror of water birds, seafood, fish, and even the colossal walruses can end up on its menu. An event that shakes the entire immensity of northern Siberia is when 2 males meet. In this situation, commonly, peace is not an option, and the gigantic white bears start fighting over prey, territory, or in spring to mate with a female. Although it is a species more than adapted to the freezing temperatures of northern Siberia, when the harsh Russian winter strikes with its incessant blizzards, the polar bear has no choice but to dig a small hole to take shelter. When the weather is unforgiving, the polar bear can even spend several days without leaving its rudimentary den. Of course, the definition of good weather for the polar bear is quite different from that of other wild Siberian species. And with hundreds of seals wandering around, staying home is not the best decision. And even less so when you know you must make the most of winter, because summer will come with its own challenges. Although very happy that the cold Siberian winter has finally arrived, and with it, its entire white kingdom, the polar bear knows perfectly well that this will not last forever, and that when the snow melts due to the early arrival of spring, days of starvation will be inevitable for it. While most Siberian animals celebrate the end of winter, for this white king, it can even mean a death sentence. Due to global warming, winters become less predictable every year. So, when the water melts, the polar bear does not know for sure when its icy paradise will return. But the melting of the Arctic is not the only threat this fierce northern predator faces. Water pollution is a reality that is changing its ecosystem. Activities like oil and gas extraction and mining dump hundreds of tons of waste into the polar bear's habitat every year, decimating all marine life in the area and, therefore, forcing the bear to seek new destinations. Poaching of this species is another of the challenges for these Siberian giants. This activity kills about 200 individuals a year. With approximately 26,000 polar bears remaining in Siberia, this species could have a fate already sealed in Siberia. For hundreds of years, the polar bear was brutally hunted for the commercialization of its meat, fat, and fur, an activity that brought these mammals to the brink of extinction. Fortunately, today they have shown important signs of recovery. A wild species that is unfortunately in serious danger of extinction is the majestic hawksbill turtle. These fascinating reptiles have been devastated by the consumption of their meat, as well as the use of their shells for ornamental purposes. Small clownfish also do not escape being threatened by the effects of human activity. Due to the increase in water temperature, as well as the degradation of ecosystems, anemones, a crucial species for the survival of these small swimming fish, are undergoing a bleaching process, which, along with coral bleaching, is decimating the habitat of this iconic Pacific species. Not even the most powerful predators of the sea escape being threatened by human influence in these waters. Every year, thousands of cetaceans, including orcas, die accidentally by becoming entangled in industrial fishing nets, an activity that causes serious damage to marine ecosystems. And like these species, hundreds of thousands of species are severely threatened by activities such as overfishing, plastic pollution, oil spills, and even water warming caused by climate change. The good news is that we are still in time to reverse this challenging situation for Pacific wildlife through more responsible management of marine resources and policies that limit the dumping of waste into the sea. We can improve the quality of life of marine species, saving them from certain extinction. Have you been surprised by the stories about the wildlife of marine species in the Pacific? If so, don't leave without giving us a like, as well as leaving in the comments box which wild species impressed you the most. Programs, sustainability